So it should be live now.
Yep, sure is.
We are testing to make sure the audio comes through okay. Let's see if it picks this up now.
We're recording locally as well?
I haven't yet. I just want to check the sound.
Perfect.
I just want to check if it's local.
As well.
Oh. Yeah. So you can hear fine?
Yep, stick it in your ears.
Yeah. There should be a delay, so it should be okay.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's good, right?
It works.
It's
It finally works.
It's perfect. We're good.
All right.
Right.
Ah, thank God. Now, should I hit the record local button?
I'll tell you what, I'll grab, I can see Agnes before.
Who?
Agnes.
Yeah.
But I don't see
Okay.
her now.
I've got so many profanities to shout out right now.
You just can't
because it's actually working.
This is so good.
Oh, what a day. What a day. We are live.
Right, we need some guests.
Yeah.
We had guests. And then we had 40 minutes of the technical difficulties, so we lost the guests.
Yeah.
So our schedule is completely blown out the water, right?
And thank you very much.
There's catering going on right next to us. So let's go and find ourselves some guests.
I'm not touching anything because this works now.
Yes.
Okay. So when it does work, it actually works quite well.
Very good.
We've got good movement, moderate delay. It's picking up quite well. Okay.
Let's put this up and go grab us a guest.
Yeah. Got to grab something to drink.
Are you going to the drink booth?
Oh
Okay, and our first guest, you don't understand. So, you know the concept of switch it off and switch it back on again?
Yeah.
So we struggled for about half an hour getting the mic to work because it was just total distortion.
Lost our speaker.
Oh, nice.
So we're very excited that it actually works now. Well,
Yeah.
we're hoping that it works because we tested it earlier.
Okay.
So it should be fine, and we're coming to you live from the European Collaboration Summit in Mainz.
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 Please introduce yourself to the people that are watching, if they are watching, because we're not going to sure.
Yeah. So my name is Martina Grom. I'm an Office 365 MVP, and I'm focusing on all around Office 365. It covers Yammer, security, enterprise social, SharePoint, Exchange, so all around that. And recently I did a lot of governance topics and very much into security, very many topics around that.
Because you ran a pre-con day yesterday, didn't you?
Yes.
Nikki Farrell around this
Yes,
content?
yes.
So one of the things I'm quite curious to know about that, what were the key kind of questions that people are asking?
Yeah, so currently we see a lot of GDPR questions, so people are quite confused what to do with that.
Yes.
And how to handle that, and should they knock everybody out, or should they stop
And
doing
you said yes.
business
Lock
with
them all
European
out.
Union? Yeah. And also, what is kind of interesting is that I see now a growing interest and a growing understanding in the market around Office 365 security and Microsoft 365 security. That probably Office 365 alone is not enough to make a secure environment really beneficial for the users and valuable for the users.
So what were the kind of core capabilities that were calling out in your workshop yesterday that people need to really start considering? Because as you just said, out of the box for Office 365 may not be sufficient enough for the organisation.
Yeah, so there are some specific security topics everybody should follow. So simple things like turning MFA on in the tenant for every single user.
Oh, no, that's interesting. So, Al, contentious one I get quite often. Should MFA be on for all your users or not? Because some of the organisations I spoke to will only have MFA on for their high-risk employees.
Yeah.
Well, they fixed MFA. That's the first thing I think we should admit. So you don't put your password in first, and then it takes you to MFA.
Yes.
So that's good. They fixed that. From a high risk, I think from a conditional access perspective, yes.
Yes.
So if I'm sitting in a coffee shop in Ukraine,
Yeah.
by all means switch it on and say, well, anyone outside of the perimeter network or
Yeah.
it's an untrusted source, switch it on. But if I'm connecting from home,
Yeah. So what we have seen recently, and we analyzed the data in our tenant, was that we got a lot of login attempts from all over the world. So, and we couldn't be sure that our users don't use a hacked password or are
Yes.
in a password list already. So I'm more on the side that I say put MFA on every time and just do it there, not only with conditional access. So the second one would be thinking about your mobile device security, because you have your intranet in your pocket with you,
That's
and
right,
all your
that's
customer data and everything else. And that means you need to make secure that the data on the mobile device are secure as well.
Yes.
sorry, I'm just excited that all of this works and the audio sounds great.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so I can come back to this conversation right now. Fantastic. So yeah, security, big thing. How are you experiencing post 25th of May? Is it a big thing? Or customers jumping up and down?
It is a big thing since a couple of months, and what I see, the main interest is in data classification suddenly. So Azure Information Protection and labeling is a big thing now, because people think if they classify and protect every single document, they are fine to go with GDPR. But this is this is not the case very often because people need an understanding what does data classification mean, what does data protection mean, and so on. And I receive tons of email which are just protected, so I can't make a copy of the email, I can't forward it, and so on. And it's a good thing, but not on the content which is in the email. So very often it's overprotective now.
Yeah.
Encrypt everything. And that's
And
not,
the world will be okay.
So one of the things you talked about is that if you have an M365 license, you're going to get more security options than if you just have a standard Office 365 e-license.
Yeah.
So for example, if an organisation had M365 free licensing, do you think they're going to get sufficient enough security options, or do they need to likely purchase more?
my approach when working with customers is going, what do you have? You have Office 365 E3, you have EMS E3.
Yes.
Take it that way first and discover all the features that are in there. And after you adopt that and know what you are getting, then go to other solutions. One of the solutions I normally recommend to my customers is Office 365 E5.
Yes.
Which normally comes with E5, but you can also buy it as an add-on.
Yes, that's
and it
right.
brings a lot of value to customers.
If somebody's thinking about starting out on this journey,
Yeah.
and you're not available to help them, where would be the best place for them to start learning about these options and how to really sweat the assets a bit more?
There is very good security assessment material around Office 365 available on the public websites from Microsoft.
Yes.
So I would start there and look at the training material and discover that content from there.
So you've just come back from the SharePoint North American Conference,
Yes.
haven't you? I'm never quite sure how to say it properly.
SharePoint Conference North America.
Right. What were your kind of key takeaways from the conference that particularly jumped out?
So the key takeaways from the SharePoint Conference North America was that SharePoint invests a lot in better usability of the whole service and the new functionality. So it was kind of interesting for me to see on the keynote the SharePoint Spaces demo, because suddenly you say everything in the audience, what could be the use case for that? I don't know. And I love that kind of scenarios because it makes people think about, is it a use case for me? Is it now or is it in 10 years? And it's not something, 10 years ago I thought about why would you call your Exchange server? Why should you do that? And today we talk to our phones, we talk to Cortana, we talk to Siri and so on. So it can be a use case in 5 years or 10 years.
And we spoke about this at SharePoint Sunday in Zurich around use cases for SharePoint Spaces. Initially everyone goes, what do we do with it? But there's a lot. I'll give you a perfect example. So Activision are building games.
Yes.
They're living in that world. Why not provide the same functionality so that they don't have to take it off and go work on a document or work on something there that can literally store some of their 3D videos or their 360 videos, and they can go straight and pull it out and have that immersive experience.
Or it could be a very simple use case. You are designing something and then you get a notification, oh, the design document was updated by a colleague. Why not? So it could be that kind of simple use case scenario as well.
It will just be weird to see 300 people in a building all with VR glasses on.
Yes.
You walk in and they can't either see you because it's VR or it's mixed reality, and then they will see you.
Well, we've got the new HoloLens too, look forward to, I believe, in 2019. With AI/ML integrated in there. I think it'd be quite cool. Maybe
but probably they will invent a holodeck.
The holodeck.
What kind of use cases are you thinking of?
Okay, and
that probably brings us to a natural end, right? Well, we're going to carry on this conversation when we stop being live.
All right, well, thank you for spending time with us, and we'll see you later and tomorrow.
And at SharePoint.
Yeah. Thank you.
So we are live, coming from Mainz, I believe, in Germany.
Absolutely, yeah.
And this is the European SharePoint, European Collaboration Summit, rather. I keep saying SharePoint, right? Because of course we just had the SharePoint conference.
We met in Zurich last weekend. Exactly.
And that's right. We've been presenting in Zurich at SharePoint Saturday's amazing event. So I'm here having a chat with Ragnar. I want you to introduce yourself to people.
Yeah, hi, I'm Ragnar Heil. I am the Alliance Manager for Microsoft for the EMEA region and the Logics.
And you previously worked in Microsoft as well, didn't you?
Exactly,
so you have a very long-standing, thorough heritage and understanding it.
Yeah, I still have a lot of Microsoft blood, running through my veins and
running blue.
Part of my DB.
And of course, you've transferred that straight into your blue with Metal
Exactly,
Logics,
yeah.
right?
So I came from Microsoft Blue Badge. To make more games here. 10 years, Microsoft Blue Badge into the blue shirt of Metal Logics.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about what drew you to Metal Logics and why you're there today?
Exactly, yeah. So I'm responsible for the Microsoft partnership, and Metal Logics is actually focused on 3 main topics. Number 1 is all about migrations. So all about, file shares to Office 65, SharePoint on-premise to Office 65, SharePoint Online, Yammer, Teams, OneDrive, and so on. But also moving Dropbox, Google Drive to Office 65 using Azure.
Yes.
And the second topic would be really everything around security, compliance, governance, GDPR topics. And the third pillar would be administration of Office 65, SharePoint on-prem, which means backup, restore, administration work, check if the security rights are the same, and to make sure that everything is compliant and secure in this beautiful modern workspace called Office 65.
So there's quite a large product suite there, isn't there? And Metal Logics has been around for how many years approximately?
I think 12, 13 years now, yeah.
That's
So we restarted always with the SharePoint topic and moved them from, SharePoint 2003 to 13, 16, and now to 19. And now there is more focus also on Office 65 and new exciting workloads called OneDrive and Teams.
Absolutely. So one of the things, before we talk a little bit more about the product capability and where your customers are especially leveraging that value, I just want to understand a little bit more about where Metal Logics are geographically represented across the globe.
So the main headquarters are really in Washington, D.C. in the US. Then we have a beautiful office in London, close to the Buckingham Palace.
Oh, I should visit.
It's a 5 minutes walk.
Yeah.
I was there, but I wasn't invited to this wedding, unfortunately.
My invite.
So we're close to Buckingham Palace, but I'm not so close to Buckingham Palace. But it was a little bit of a shame. And we have a beautiful office in Munich, Schwabing, next to the English Garden.
Yes. So Metal Logics are a lot of the SharePoint events, aren't they? We see them quite often as a sponsor. Why do you think Metal Logics pop up all over the place at these community events? Why do they do that?
Oh, that is so easy to explain, because we love the community.
Yes.
Jeff Teeper said once, the Office 65 and SharePoint community is the best tech community on this planet, and I just couldn't agree more.
I agree.
So we just really appreciate, everything what the great guys are doing, organizing this beautiful European Collaboration Summit, and all the SharePoint Saturdays worldwide. And this is so time intensive. There are so much spare time, free time is flowing into these kind of events, that we want to make sure to put money into it and sponsor it.
No, I used to look very athletic. Can you believe that, right? I mean, this camera, I swear, is added 2 stone onto me. But you're quite right, because we invest so much time in the community. And of course, the events wouldn't be possible without the sponsors. Now, you're not just here as a sponsor for Metal Logics, but you're also here as a speaker, aren't you?
Absolutely, yeah.
And you've been talking about GDPR, right?
GDPR was my panel, exactly. I was hosting and moderating a GDPR panel in the late morning, and our topic was really, what are the changes, what we didn't expect at this magical day of May 2020, 25th. So all the hot buzz from the press, about all the websites which have closed and newsletters which completely ran out of control. So we were just summarizing the highlights and the lowlights and disappointing things from the last days, and also doing a lot of myth debusting.
Oh, there's plenty of those.
A lot of misunderstandings what GDPR is and whatnot.
So what's Metalogic's approach when a customer comes to you and they're concerned about GDPR and they're looking to get some help from Metalogic's?
Yeah. So our approach is to four different phases. The first phase is to really discover and to locate the content, and then when you know which content you have and where it's stored, then you can really go and manage them. And if you can manage them, then you can protect them. And if something goes worse and something is going to leak and you have a data leak issue, then our tools can also do the reporting, which needs now be done within 72 hours.
That's right.
So
yes, mandatory.
it's all about scanning content where our tools can scan the hybrid cloud, which can be SharePoint 2007, 10, 13, 16, and the SharePoint Online, OneDrive,
so you're covering all of
and
those.
so on. Yeah, so it's really scanning the hybrid cloud day and night.
Yes.
And if there are GDPR relevant content or PII documents found,
yes,
then it's going to send out reports, alerts to the admins or CISO, CIO, head of compliance, and then you have a very, very crystal clear view and report about your documents in the hybrid world, and how many documents of the millions or billions of documents are really GDPR relevant.
Yes.
And then if you have it, then you if you know how does your content look like, then you can control it and make sure that it doesn't flow out of your environment, because now we're working in this new world of giving access to our workspaces, to externals, to customers and partners. We work everywhere, and we want to include externals to our SharePoint spaces. But we have to make sure that we
when
are
you
going
say SharePoint spaces, you...
Oh, I'm not talking about...
We have a new term to deal with
exactly,
now.
Yeah.
Yes, don't we? Yes.
Exactly. We have the brand new announcement that we can use mixed reality, virtual reality glasses, also Oculus and Vive to dive into the SharePoint new experience.
Yes.
So this is going to be the augmented reality of SharePoint coming soon.
Absolutely. We've had a few conversations around it and looking at those interesting use cases. So as we come to the final few moments of our chat, I'd quite like to understand a bit more about the Meta Ventures.
Yeah. So we have an evangelist and influencer program called Meta Venture, and we are inviting people who are really enthusiastic about SharePoint, Office 365, and about our core topics, which are migration and protection and administration of the cloud. They can join our programs, and then they can earn points. And if they earn points, they can transfer the points into Amazon vouchers and so on.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
So it's all about sharing the great stuff here, and also writing own blog posts.
Sure.
So it's not about only that they share our content and our tweets and so on. It's really bringing them to write about their favorite topics around SharePoint and Office 365.
So Metalogic's are putting a lot of community content out there to help people understand. Doesn't necessarily align to a product that Metalogic's are providing.
So we can do all the product stuff by our own. We just need many different voices to really talk about the current hot topics, which can be SharePoint spaces, which can be the new SharePoint lists or whatever, or create things about Teams. So all the stuff around new features, roadmaps, but also around how to increase usage and adoption of Office 365. So we also want these change management aspects, and here we really appreciate everyone who wants to blog with us about change management and sharing the excitement what we have around these products.
How does
audience?
So how do people find that content?
The content. Well, the content is, they just write the content and then they just send me or
and then it'll go to the team.
Exactly, and we just polish the document and make a blog post out of it.
So Ragnar, you are open to people contacting you direct as well?
Directly, yeah.
What's the best way people to get hold of you?
Yeah, so just enter my name into the search engine. I'm Ragnar Heil, or you just send me an email, rheil@metalogix.com.
And you're on Twitter as well, right?
Yeah, so my Twitter handle is Ragnar H, R-A-G-N-R, R-A-G-N. Sorry.
Maybe some coffee.
Maybe some coffee. R-A-G-N-A-R-H.
Well, that's great. Thank you very much for speaking to us today, Ragnar. I hope you guys have found this really useful, give a really good insight to Metalogics. We're going to take a short break, and then we're going to be back with Jason Himmelstein, who's staying just behind the camera, really eager to jump in. Coming to you live from the European Collaboration Summit here in the beautiful Mainz in Germany. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Andy. Thanks.
I agree with you there. But
boys and girls, we are coming live from the European Collaboration Summit in the beautiful town of, is it a town? Mainz? Or a city?
Mainz?
Mainz?
I can't pronounce it.
You're South African though, right? You struggle with English in general?
I was going to do that. Do you understand the words? They're coming out of my mouth thing. But,
The dialect of English I don't quite understand. I speak Swahili.
I bet you do. So we're joined by Jason Himmelstein. So Jason,
hello.
Introduce yourself. Tell everyone about you.
I'm Jason Himmelstein.
And that's it.
Sorry, yes.
Nothing
That's all we
further.
need.
I'm the Director of Technical Strategy and Strategic Partnerships for Rackspace.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also an Office Servers and Services MVP. And but my main job is I'm dad to two awesome kids back home who they're probably at school, so they're probably not watching this. But you know, you never
Whereabouts in
know.
the States do you live?
San Antonio, Texas.
Oh, right. Okay, so
yeah,
sunny
what-
state, right?
But you don't have a big hat.
Yeah, I leave that to Mr. Shups.
Okay.
There was already a SharePoint
yeah.
cowboy when I came into the community, so you know I leave
Cut
that
you
to
out on that one.
But
yeah.
you don't
it's
have a
okay.
strong Texan accent.
I wasn't born in Texas. I just got there as quick as I could. So, yeah, no.
Where from? Where from?
Yeah, well, I was born in Jacksonville, Florida, actually.
Right.
So, you know, same as Andrew Connell. He's still there, and I was
He is still there,
smart enough
right.
to get out. But you
Yes.
know, hey,
Well,
no, it was
some
a
people
good place to
adapt
be
enough to
from.
stay.
It was a good place to be from, and you know, I moved around a bunch. So I lived in
Sure.
New England for a while, and now live in Texas.
So Jason, what are you doing here today?
Well, today I'm wearing short pants because I'm
Right.
on break today. 'Cause
I'm glad you got pants on. This is good news.
That was an improvement over the other days. But no, yesterday I taught a BI workshop with John White.
Right.
So today is my down day, and tomorrow we teach another class on BI. But I'm here just chatting with people and enjoying the community. I flew here by way of Memphis after Vegas, being a part of that show.
Right.
So it's just a big 2-week trip of community.
So tell us about your interest in BI, because you're quite a prolific speaker in this area, right?
Thank you. I've been doing business intelligence now for about 10 years. Wrote a book on BI and SharePoint and got into it back when I was working for a defense contractor.
Right.
And we were doing earned value metrics stuff and all sorts of cool stuff with another MVP, Dave Feldman. Scott Hillier as well was
familiar
there.
names, yeah.
So we were doing all sorts of cool stuff with that, and quickly realized, wow, this is an area of conversation that not many people are having. So jumped out and started talking about it, and it's just been a fun ride ever since. Met up with John White about 5 years ago. We do a podcast called Bifocal, so you can go out to bifocal.show and check that out.
I didn't know about that. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
How did you not know about that?
Well, we
Andy
published
doesn't-
episode 50 last week.
yeah.
I'm
so
busy
it's,
talking about Cloud 365.
There you
So,
go.
so
You know?
did you ever think you'd get to episode 50?
No, because we started it back when IT Unity was a thing. We
Yeah.
did
Oh, sure,
live
yeah.
video, and we quickly realized that I have a face for radio. So, man, we decided let's just skip that because we thought we'd be doing all sorts of demo, and then we realized there's stuff changing too quickly to be able to properly prep every week to try and do something, or even every month to try and just do a live show on YouTube or things like that. So we switched it up, and now we record. John and I do half-hour episodes every week about what's new in the BI space for people who are trying to learn Power BI and things like that. And we get great interviews from the folks at Microsoft. So no, we started it and then it stopped. And we were actually with you in South Africa last year. At the time, we were down there for a conference, and the Data Insight Summit was going on. And I said, you know what, John, we need to start this back up. I grabbed my little recorder, we sat in a room at the conference, and we recorded, and that was the start of us coming back.
Makes sense.
So it was July of last year, so we were almost a year on doing the show again. And John and I look at each other regularly and go, how do we keep doing this? We keep managing to find the half hour, 40 minutes every week to just sit down and talk about it, and we've not had any problem coming up with new material.
Yeah, but that's
because
the great
Microsoft
part,
is
right?
doing so much in the
Yes.
space. So
But also it helps you stay current.
it does. It
Because
forces
you
me
have to,
you
right?
pay
You have to.
attention.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I like about when we're doing presentations, whether it's a podcast or a webinar, is you've got to be on your feet, right?
Oh yeah, it's staying current is a hard thing to do. It's actually one of the things that we do as a service at Rackspace. It's a part of the Office 365 offering that we have, is actually helping people stay up to date on things as part of our advisory services offering.
Yes.
Under the new RAS for 365, the Rackspace application services function that we're doing. So that's a great thing that we're able to offer to people because we stay current on everything so much between the time I spend at Microsoft and coming to conferences and meeting with people and doing all of that, we have a team of folks back in the office who that's what they do is they stay up to date on all these things and help customers figure out what things they should be doing with Office 365, with the dedicated apps and things like that as well. But man, it's a lot of fun just to live at that front, that bleeding edge, as I refer to it. It's a lot of fun just staying there and staying up to date and trying to figure out what things they've actually released and what things they've told people they've released is a very interesting thing.
What's on by default too.
Yeah.
Yes, and what you're allowed to speak about. I think that's the other thing.
This is very true.
Yes,
so,
that's true.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's interesting because I don't get to tell my team very much because, number one, MVP NDAs.
That's
we have
right,
that.
that's right.
But secondarily, I want them to figure things out so I can guide them in a direction. Say, go look at this, and then when they find things, then they can go talk about them with customers. So it's a very interesting little balancing act that I get to play. So.
Just on the BI side,
Yeah.
we've seen Microsoft go, we're buying for Clarity,
Yeah.
and we're going to do stuff with it, and it's all about SharePoint, to where they are now saying, it's not about SharePoint, everything's come out of SharePoint.
Yes.
So it's quite a big paradigm shift where no longer does BI live inside of SharePoint. I mean, with 2019, there's no BI services with SQL 2017. So you're not really going to have...
There's still some BI functions inside of 2019.
Okay.
They haven't announced deprecation of Performance Point yet.
Okay.
But it's going the road of InfoPath. Because they
God,
still
I
support
hope
InfoPath.
not. I really hope not, because InfoPath will never die. To die.
I wish it would.
With Performance Point, that sucker will die at some point because they have a proper replacement for it with most of the Power BI stuff that we're able to do now.
Yeah.
There's still a couple of things that you're not getting quite as much on-prem, and that's okay, but heading to the cloud is really the right way to go for Power BI. So, yeah, we've seen things come out of the product quite a bit, and it's not just BI.
Yeah.
So a lot of stuff we've seen, you don't have development happening in the stack as much anymore.
Yeah. Sure.
It's all going client side. So I like to refer to it as, and I need this myself, SharePoint went on a great weight loss program and shed a whole bunch of things. It shedded Excel services, right? Which, a lot of people don't realize is a part of the BI stack as well. That when it came out, it went into the right thing. It went into the Office Online Server on-prem. Wish they would rename that thing so people would know what the hell we're talking about.
Well, they call
but
it
still.
OWA, and then Exchange is called.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
So they needed a different name, but they could have just called it Office Server. But then we would be thinking, well, are we really talking about Moss?
Yes.
But nobody's thinking that realistically. But that's okay.
There's a few of us around still.
Yeah, a couple of them still kicking around. But the interesting thing is that it's a better together story. Power BI and SharePoint Online are a phenomenal better together story. With the web part that's there, they don't have that for on-prem at this point, which stinks. I understand why there's a lot of stuff on the back end that in order to make these services work together, because Power BI and Office 365 are not actually the same thing. Right. Which, even though you have to do all of your user control stuff in the Office 365 admin tenant, that's okay. They are completely separate. You can have Power BI without Office 365 completely.
Yes, that's
Whereas not many other things can you do that with. Most of them are bundled into the suite, but Power BI is not. So the story of Better Together really is, let's do all the processing of all the BI stuff in a different place. Let's be able to view all of that together. So, you can view all of those things, whether you're in SharePoint or now in Teams as well.
That's right.
So lots of great stuff that you can do with that. And there's even licensing to accommodate that as well when you go to the EM SKUs that are out there, as opposed to going all the way up to the P SKUs in premium capacity. Yeah. Lots of interesting things that you can do if you're not needing to go to app.powerbi.com. The EM SKUs are a pretty good option. We went through all that in our workshop yesterday. It was a really good time. So.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the options available for people that may be working in teams when it comes to integration with BI?
Well, sure. The nice thing is that they've got a couple of different things. Number one, you've got being able to view Excel in Teams. You've got being able to view Power BI in Teams. But now you can actually get to lists in Teams as well. I published a blog article about that, being able to actually visualize everything in the right way in Teams. I published that about a month ago. It's through, you have to use the website view.
Yes.
But you can get to everything there now, and it trims out the Chrome and all of that great stuff.
It's not just an iframe.
No, they just haven't. Because they haven't published the button for it, they haven't publicized it. And I was sitting there twiddling my thumbs because we saw a demo of it a while back internally. And
talk about it at Ignite.
yeah, so they did talk about it, but they hadn't publicized it. And finally I went and I knocked on some doors and got some approvals to be able to actually go ahead and publicize that. And it's something my customers ask for all the time.
Sure.
It's like, why can't I do all of these things in Teams? As they get ready and they're starting to adopt Teams, the Teams adoption rate is so much higher than the SharePoint adoption rate for a lot of these companies, simply for one reason. It's not called SharePoint.
Yeah.
It's silly. It really is.
I get that.
But you know, for people who aren't using it for chat,
Yes.
who aren't using it for video, it's simply the portal into a SharePoint site because they're doing all the same things. It's the uptick has been so much, and partly because Microsoft's talking about Teams so much, but partly because it's just not called SharePoint. And people who, you know, the fun for me is as we get them there and we move them down the journey, you go, okay, well now some of the things that you want to be able to do, you really should be going to SharePoint for. Like, oh, I don't want to use SharePoint. It's like, you've been using SharePoint all along. It's everything you're doing, all of that stuff is in SharePoint.
It's funny you said it, because I used to have the same thing with some clients. They'd say, first thing, don't call it SharePoint, because maybe I've heard some people in the organisation saying, oh, I don't like SharePoint because they'd had a bad implementation where they previously worked. So, same issue. We take away that name SharePoint, and then when they start using it, and afterwards we tell them what it is, and they went, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I actually realised it's a good thing.
Yeah, unfortunately, perception is reality all too often in companies. And, you know, SharePoint, they talked about it during the keynote, the fact that, and during some of Bill Baer's sessions, the fact that for a long time people looked at it and said, oh, SharePoint on-prem is going away, SharePoint as a whole is going to go away. Nah, that's not a thing. It's just gotten better and better and better over time. And you know, a lot of changes have happened over the course of the past 3 to 4 years that makes it just a great platform to still be engaged in.
And
So-
Jeff Teeper's called that out as well, hasn't he? So the SharePoint Virtual Summit, of course, that was at the SharePoint Conference North America. So that content's freely available
You got it
online.
right now. SharePoint
I did.
Conference North
I've got it
America.
right.
Yeah.
With all these different acronyms running around in my head.
Well, the fun is that it's amazing how quickly they just shifted the acronym on it. It's like, oh, we're calling it SPCNA because we don't want to call it this. And ultimately, the big letters on stage that they had, you know, people size. Okay, they had Bill Baer size, not full size people size, but they had Bill Baer size.
You're making him sound like he's pint-sized.
Well, compared to me,
Compared
yes,
to
but,
you.
you know.
Yeah.
But he...
But they were showing that SharePoint isn't dead.
Yeah,
It's
it was
far
SPC
from it.
18 was the hashtag that they were using
That's right.
for the conference, which is nice that they're calling out. They've already said that they're going to do it again next year,
Yes.
which is nice.
That's right.
And the fact that they called out, more than anything, the fact that now we have twice-a-year cadence, they're going to come out and talk about things at SPC, and they're coupling that with a virtual summit, which the content, as you said, from the virtual summit, that keynote is available out there. You can go... I think Dan Holm tweeted about it, where you can go view the download and download that video. But now they're doing SPC in the spring and Ignite in the fall. Twice a year, we're going to get that vision reset, as they call it.
That's what I picked up on, that vision reset. Yeah.
I like the terminology because they're not promising new functionality at those times.
Yes.
Because that's not how they're doing it. They're rolling out new functionality all the damn time, which is really great. You know, the fact that they're continuing to push things, they pushed stuff this week, they pushed stuff 2 weeks ago. They didn't wait for a virtual summit to go do it. They're just using those moments to come out and actually talk about it and tell everybody, hey, here's what's going on, here's all the stuff you want to know. You know, I get a little frustrated sometimes because they talk about something and then 9 months later it actually releases.
Yes.
That's okay. We seem to amplify their message a lot as MVPs, a little bit more sometimes than other things should. I won't go into any details. There were a couple things that happened this year that was a big case of. It's like we need to do a better job of talking about things so people know they're coming, but not getting people too excited, because all too many of my customers look at it and go, but you talked about this 6 months ago. Where is it? And I'm like, well, it's not out yet. And you have to be able to accept that, the fact that we're talking about things that are coming, that are going to be there. Some of the things that they showed in the keynote last week blew my socks off. Like, that copy paste to Excel, I want it now.
Yes.
Right now. Because there's so many things I can do with that, so many things that we've all been looking for. And yeah, we had some of those features in previous versions of SharePoint, so it's bringing it back, but it's taking it to a new level as well. Chris McNulty did a great demo in that virtual summit about that. It was really exciting stuff. I can't wait to get my hands on it. And the thing is that they've now that they have these dedicated 2 times a year, I think we're going to start to see them land their messaging about what they're going to get to us between now and the next conversation, and where they're going as the ultimate overarching vision. You know, SharePoint Spaces was one that I heard Ragnar talking about just a little bit ago. I went up and did the demo. It's not quite ready for prime time for some of the stuff.
We should have been really honest about it.
Yes,
as well, haven't they?
The couple of the things were really, really cool, though, that they were doing, which was really nice that they were able to come out and let people lay hands on it, get an opportunity to actually have true feel of it, and also get some feedback. I gave them a ton of feedback because I don't ever shut up. But that's neither here nor there. But just getting an opportunity to play with the tech and actually understand that it's not vaporware. This is something that they really have been doing engineering on. And I've heard lots of people say, I wish they would spend their time engineering on things that are broken. And, which I agree with to a certain extent. But the fact that they're focused on going out there to the bleeding edge. The fact they've been working on this for a while, they looked and said, what can we go work on? What are the next things? What's the next step? I'm looking forward to the day where I can walk into a conference room, put on my glasses, and have things laid out around the room, HoloLens style, where things are controlled centrally. And it's like, hey, there's a PowerPoint on the back wall that somebody's going to control. But if I want to take a look at the OneNote, I can look over here, and there's 3 document libraries that are pinned to the wall on the left, and that, for me, the augmented reality function, VR, not as exciting. But that side of the world looks really like where we might be heading.
So we're talking about things being introduced quite early and before they're fully baked and, as you say, ready for prime time. The thing I like about that is rather than being a big bang, oh, here it is, surprise, and it's fully ready, and then we have to go, oh, we've got to think about this. I think it gives us a breathing time to actually go, what are our use cases? How are we going to approach that? Let's start to warm up our key stakeholders. To me, that's much more valuable than a fully baked product, just bam, day one, and then potentially going wrong and into the wild when we haven't had a chance to digest it.
3 years of them working in a closet and then coming out and going, hey, look, here's something that you're never going to actually use. That's just sad.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know if this is true or not, but perhaps it gives Microsoft an opportunity for community and business to actually go, yeah, that's great, but maybe think about this, that, and the other, so they can make
if you look at it, right, a lot of the new features are in preview mode.
Yes.
So Power BI was the first-class citizen when it came to how to commoditize the technology. Because before Power BI, there were no apps, right? There's no Power Apps for all those things. And I think we should follow what the engineering team behind Power BI does to see how they commoditize based on that. So, yes, we've got user voice. So we release a preview feature, so you can't blame us for it if it doesn't work. But
that's right.
And then go to user voice and get people to vote for the things that you want changed.
Hey, you want a fun fact on this one? And you may already know the answer to this, but in a number of those very visible Office 365 workloads, guess what the minimum number of votes is to get picked up and reviewed by the product team?
5.
5 to 10.
5, and the flag goes, and someone in the product team goes, someone's asked for this.
I mean, how amazing is that? You don't have to sit there and be that 2,000-3,000 one in order to get it. And the thing I really like about user voice as well now is that typically you'll get some kind of response working on it, and then some honesty saying, listen, it's going to take a while because it's not just our engineering team.
Well, even Bill responds to user voice requests.
Yes.
Physically jumps in and looks at it and goes, here's an answer. So it's not 6 degrees of separation. I mean, in the SharePoint community, it's always been 1 degree of separation, right? Which is what makes the community great. But now you have that same relationship with Microsoft directly through user voice. And I think that's a really good platform for people to get vocal.
Yes.
Because we know what people are like.
Oh yeah.
We've been to Summit. We know what it's like. But, the fact that it's no longer just MVPs that get that direct channel of feedback. It's anybody can just get out there and say, hey, I have an idea. Throw it out there. And the important thing is to actually get out there and publicize your idea as well.
Yes.
I dedicate 30 minutes every week to the different product, like per product that I actually care about. I spent 30 minutes a week in ideas.powerbi.com, in the one for SharePoint, and the one for Office 365. So I dedicate some time just looking at what other people have written and going off and voting on it to see if it's actually something that, hey, That's really cool. Now, occasionally I go off and I tweet about the things I think that are interesting, but it's nice to be able to just go out and find the things other people are asking for. Absolutely. Some of them are rubbish. Some are, bring back, move the gear icon to the left-hand side again. Don't do that.
Bring back Clippy.
Bring back Clippy. I'm a big fan of Clippy, so I have a Clippy T-shirt at home. My kids love Clippy, so I wouldn't be arguing with Clippy coming back, but I do get the fact that it's nice for people to be able to get out there, have their voice heard, and there's the endorphin rush that people get of somebody else voted on my thing as well, and when Microsoft comes in and says, this is under investigation, and then moves it, like, you get notifications of those things, which is really nice.
That's what a like matters to me. I'm not really too fussed if somebody hits a like on my photograph.
Yeah.
But a like on an idea that gives a validation that in here you're thinking along the right lines. That's very, very powerful, isn't it? And like I say, just 5 to 10 to get on the radar.
Yeah.
So, in our closing thoughts here, Jason, what's the main benefit do you think people come to the European Collaboration Summit? Because of course this has been going on for a little while now, and we absolutely expect it to be back next year.
Well, I got to come last year and here this year, and just walking around, seeing people interact with the sponsors is one thing, but seeing people interact with each other, that continuing to build the community, that's really powerful for me. We sat in we do this every time we do a workshop. We actually ask everybody to say who they are and what they're interested in. And one of the reasons why we do it is we like for people to know that there are 7 other people in the room who are similar mindset to you, that work in similar spaces. And at lunch and during coffee times, we see the people going up to each other and having those conversations. The community is so powerful. Being able to find people of similar mindsets, similar technology experience, etc., is just really exciting. And so for me, coming here and being able to just interact, I dressed down today. I'm not in a speaker shirt. I'm just going around, just having a chat with people. To hide who I am, where I'm from. Just go and have the conversation and just interact. It's really nice. Well, but that's why we do radio style on the podcast, so that people don't necessarily know. But it's really great just to interact with the community and just spend the time. People coming here to hear not only from the foremost expert, but getting to hear from other people that are like them, that have similar jobs. It's really, really powerful.
And what the thing I was particularly impressed about is we've got Dan Hines here and other guys from Microsoft, and for a conference it costs 120, 150 euros?
Yeah, 160.
Wow.
It's 160 euros for 1,500 people.
Yeah, that's insane, isn't it?
Well, it's really cool. Microsoft has done a great job in supporting the community. It's nice that last week there were so many people from Microsoft out in Vegas. Fewer. I think
a lot of Redmond must have been empty.
You could have gone around and had your pick of monitors walking through Building 1, I think, and whatnot. But it's great to see the folks coming out, and they're not hiding in a speaker room. Dan's out here walking around. Bess is out here walking around, just having conversation with folks, and they want to hear the feedback. That's one of the nice things is they're not looking just to have smoke blown up their bum. They're looking to hear what people's problems are. They like to be able to take those things back and see what they can do to actually solve people's problems. That's why they work at Microsoft.
So Jason, if people want to get in contact with you and also look at content that you're putting out, including the podcast, just a reminder to people at home how they can do that.
At not Andy Talbot. No,
that's not actually my Twitter handle either.
I know. You're not the first person to do that either.
I know. I have a name tag at home. I do have a name tag at home from where I had to stand in for Andy when I came over to Europe once. It was a beautiful opportunity.
It was SPS Brussels, right?
Yeah, it was a great time. We missed you, but
Yeah.
You were doing stuff with chicken, which I respect.
Thank you for that,
We can do flash.
It's kind of fun.
Hey, it's sunburn. So how did it get hold of the real Jason Himmelstein?
At Jasehim, JASEHIMM. You can follow us, the Bifocal Show.
On iTunes.
You can do it on iTunes, Stitcher, pretty much any place people can download.
All
of those.
You get around.
Yeah, so bifocal.show is the website. It's Bifocal Show on Twitter, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
And I do blog occasionally at SharePointLonghorn.com. So And you can always find us at the Rackspace website, o365.rackspace.com, and check that out as well.
Right, so Jason, if anyone's watching this live or catching up in the next few hours, would you be able to put a tweet out with some of those links as well?
Absolutely,
So
yeah.
if you just follow the hashtag for the event, which is Cloud Summit, you should find that, right?
Yes, sir.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to be back quite soon. Not quite sure who we got next, actually.
I don't know.
Maybe ducks. So impromptu ducks back coming up quite
Hey,
soon.
there you go.
Absolutely.
It's always
Thanks
fun.
for spending
Yeah.
time with us.
Always, my friends.
Great stuff.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.
Be well. And are we out?
real life. Andy, your tripod is in the way.
My tripod is in the way. Do I need to pull my tripod out?
Just pull your tripod. Thank you for taking it out of the way.
There we go. Pull my tripod out.
Notice how big his tripod is compared to how small my tripod is.
You've got a small one, right?
I've got the small one. Yeah, I don't need that sort of phallic-like emphasis
justification.
I don't drive a Z4.
We are live from the European Collaboration Summit. We're in the beautiful. I'm not quite sure if it's a town or a city, but it's called Mainz. Actually, it looks like Mainz.
I think we need a.
I can't say.
I've been mispronouncing it then if it's mine.
Yeah, well, we're talking about mispronunciation. Your surname is a perfect example, isn't it? So, introduce yourself to people, because I can't say your name.
You're not going to try?
Tom.
Yes, very
There
good.
we go.
Yes, Tom Arbuthnot.
Arbuthnot.
We could do 10 minutes just on that.
Yeah, we could.
Yeah, it's phonetic, but it does throw everybody through a little twist. But at least it stands out, I think.
It certainly does that, yes.
Arbuthnot.
That's it.
Bingo. Great, okay. So Tom, what are you doing down here at ECS?
So came over to talk about Microsoft Teams and kind of the transition from Skype Business to Teams. So, traditionally a large SharePoint crowd here, but lots of interest in Teams because it kind of crosses over that SharePoint, group working and UC boundary now.
So, you work for Modality Systems, don't you?
Yep.
So Principal Solution Architect, if I'm right?
Yeah, that's right, spot on.
Yeah. So kind of your daily bread and butter work is taking care of a lot of the clients, especially where they've got integration with Skype for Business, their telephone systems and so on. You must see a lot of inquiries come through. We're working a lot of work with a lot of clients who are saying, I want to go to Teams. We know there's a public roadmap and there's a lot of new functionality dropping in June, which is probably good enough for a lot of people where they don't have that telephone integration.
Yeah.
But for those that do, there's a lot more work to be done, isn't there? Both from Microsoft and also for the clients. I wonder if we could talk about your observations and participation also with the product group on this.
Yeah, definitely. So level set for everybody listening, I guess the broad idea is that Microsoft is trying to get parity in Microsoft Teams with Skype Business Online. So by the end of 2018, everything you can do broadly in Skype Business Online, including making phone calls, conferencing is there today, room video systems, federation, all that stuff will be equivalent. And theoretically, you'll be able to jump from Skype Business Online to Teams. And if you don't need some of those features today, you've got basic calling without IP phones, you've got meetings, you've got dial-in, you've got plug-in-less meeting join. So even today, a lot of people are saying, actually, there's enough features for me to jump as a business user.
Right.
But it's a very case-by-case, and the thing I spend a lot of time talking about is, feature equivalency is one way to look at it. So I did this in Skype, now I can do this in Teams. But actually there's no huge upside there. What you really, I think, should be looking at is how is Teams going to change the way my project works, my business works, what's the upside? Because there is a transition cost, there is a training cost.
Sure.
But I think there's a lot on the other side of that fence about working out loud, collaborating, files, business application integration. That's why Teams, it can make phone calls, Skype can make phone calls, sort of whatever. But actually having your project team work together globally, out loud, bots, business application integrations, cloud recording for meetings, those are the things that make it different.
It's interesting you say that because I spoke to a guy that we know quite well, and I won't call him out because I'm not quite sure if this is private info or not. But let's just say
I feel like you should.
His name is. So this guy looks after one of the very, very large supermarkets in the UK. It's like Office 365 product owner.
Yep.
And he said, there's real rhetoric with what you just said there, Tom. There was a lot of telephone calls being made before, hours and hours and hours each month by all their knowledge-based information workers and so on.
Yep.
And since they've started to look at things like Teams and working more collaboratively with one or more workloads, Office 365, they started to notice that hours has turned into minutes, where the average number of calls that are made in minutes per month is 59 minutes, from hours to minutes.
Yeah,
I mean, that's quite impressive, and it's just because, as you're saying, work out different ways of utilising the Office 365 technologies. The telephone piece became less significant.
I mean, something we talk about when we're going from traditional to Skype for Business was always instant messaging makes decisions faster. Rather than having to wait for a phone call or to have a conference, it's just can I do this or that? that sped up. Teams takes it to the next level because now, particularly with global companies, like we can all have the decision-making process out loud in the channel.
Yes.
And by the time you get to the call, it's more or less to ratify your decision. It's not to start the debate, it's to finish it off. I still think there's a huge place for, we have sort of rules internally when a thread gets to like 10 messages. Usually the person in the team would be like, right, time to have a quick call, guys, because this is just spiraling now.
I really like that. I've not thought about that before.
Yeah, it can be, particularly for IT people, they tend to like text. So quite often they'll rather just keep debating on text, and somebody, often in our business, it's often the PMs who are like, right guys, we're just going to jump on a call and get this sort of decision made. So I think a bit of both. The other thing that's really slick now is cloud recording. So when you have that meeting, you have it in the channel, and anybody who misses it has the playback right in the channel. So again, that idea of like everything in one place. Here's the thread that led to the meeting. Here's the meeting recording. Oh, and by the way, the minutes for the meeting are also in chat. So you see the decisions being made in the meeting in the chat. That's really improved our work.
And if I'm right, that goes into stream.
Yeah, the recording goes into stream.
So then we get the accessibility.
That's not been switched on.
No, that's not. That's not
coming.
Yeah, it's imminent. That's what we've seen from things like Ignite and Enterprise Connect. And it will go into that video portal, and that's nice. I mean, if you're using Stream today, it's a much better experience than Office 365 video in terms of how the tagging and channeling and sharing, all that stuff works.
Quickly surfacing from search. I mean, I love that.
Yeah, the transcription stuff's pretty slick.
So your background is more on the unified comms side than the traditional SharePoint side?
Yeah, very much so.
Your transition, because Microsoft, I mean, you were on the call before Ignite when they said, Skype, Teams is Skype, and then the world went crazy, and everyone's like, what am I going to do, and what's happening?
It's all changing tomorrow.
That's it. So your transition from focusing predominantly on unified communications, moving into all of a sudden there's chat-based information management, and there's stuff like documents that are being attached, and retention, and all of those things. It's really, what has been the journey like?
It's really different. So so you're right. So I started off working for a Cisco partner doing IPPBXs. I realised the writing was on the wall for that mode and like OCS at the time. So I've done about 8 years OCS Link, Skype for Business. And we talked about those products as business transformation, and they were in the sense of we went from a separate email and meeting and phone system into one. That was a big improvement, but this is the next gear of that. Absolutely, I'm spending more of my time now talking to businesses about how they work and less about how the phone calls work. And that's where this is interesting for the SharePoint people, because there's a bit of a, in the nicest possible way, like a little bit of a land grab where like the UC people are like, well, Teams is our thing, and the SharePoint people are like, well, no, because the UC bit's easy, the data bit's the hard bit. And I think the answer's both. But if I had to lean, I would say it's more towards the SharePoint traditional skill sets of like business engagement, business workflow. Like this is a box, and you can take the bits and make what you will. I find I'm having more conversations with businesses about that because the UC bit, it's in the cloud. You maybe need a session border controller for phone calls. There's a bunch of training and other bits and pieces, not to kind of do that bit down, but the bigger piece is, if you want to be successful with Teams, it's, are your people going to use it? Are they going to understand it? Are they committed to working out loud? Because if they're not, it's just going to be a different chat product, which is not regardless.
But that's also the other thing. Conversely, SharePoint people have been traditional, think of them as content storage people, right? You upload a document, something happens to it, and there's a life cycle. SharePoint people have no concept of working out loud. So look at the way Yammer works, chat type things, that sort of conversational, how do you ideate? Because SharePoint people have never understood the concept of ideation, because it always happens after or before the fact, before the document gets created.
And then it gets put into SharePoint when you're finished.
We have a document. How did you create that document? And that's interesting. Happens from a UC perspective. Now all of a sudden you're taking all of that ideation and you're bringing it to the fore where someone has an idea. All right, what do you think about this sort of concept? And then you have all that wonderful richness.
That's a really good point.
Which is really where the business needs to be, because businesses are in business to make money, and new ideas feed that system.
And now it's indexable and searchable, and it stays around. We've had a couple of cases internally where it's like, didn't somebody mention this? I work on a product called Diagnostics internally, which is our like Office 365 Skype business reporting product. And it's like, I'm sure some customer asked for that feature some time ago, and now I know every conversation we have about that product is in the reporting product group like team. I can go back and find it and be like, oh yeah, it was that customer, it was 6 months ago. I was never really going to find that in either instant messaging or email or maybe a phone call, like
Yeah.
who knows. So for me, I'm finding there's a lot of value in that ideation, as you say, lying around and being searchable.
So Tom, just tell us a little bit more. Maybe people haven't been to the European Collaboration Summit before. What the main value is for people coming, apart from the fact it's so cheap.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's community driven, obviously, which is huge for me. So all the sponsors supporting the community event is a really big deal. And that's not just because community is good, which I think it is, and networking is good. It's the means the content is controlled by the community, which I think is really important. Because you look at the big shows, and we all love the big shows, you know, Ignite, Inspire, very good, but Microsoft control the tracks, they control the content. Here, you've got experts in their field choosing who's speaking, choosing what the content is. But other than that, I mean, 1,500 people and being able to network is huge.
That's right. And we've got Microsoft here as well, right?
Yeah.
Well, Dan actually just walked past.
Yeah, there's a few Microsoft people here I've seen actually, and it's great that in the new world, Microsoft are much more engaging in this type of event as well.
Yes.
They're customer first, they want to hear the real world stories. But yeah, fantastic event. We do an event in the UK, what's called UC Day, now called Evolve, coming up in September. And I know how much work that is, and we're hitting like 500, 600 people, so 1,500 people, all these tracks, like full credit to the organisers. Crazy impressive.
So Tom, you like to blog, and if I remember rightly, is it tomtalks.blog?
Yep, that's it.
Okay. Yeah. And what kind of content can people expect to find on there?
Yeah, so everything Skype Business and Teams really. So my blog is like my external brain basically.
Yes.
I can't remember anything if I don't blog it.
Yeah.
I try and stay on top of all the news and changes. I'm in quite a fortunate position in terms of my role because, you know, Modality, we're on all the taps and all the previews and stuff.
Yes.
But I also work with some pretty big customers, so I get that point of view. And then, you know, we all have our friends at Microsoft and our friends in the MVP network.
Sure.
So I try and bring that content together with my opinion and say, here's what Microsoft is saying, here's what kind of the real world implications are of that, and here's what I think maybe you should think about. That's the goal anyway.
Brilliant. So Tom, if people want to follow you, get in contact with you, best way to do that?
Yeah, tomtalks.blog, all the contact links spiral off of there. I'm fairly active on Twitter and LinkedIn. LinkedIn is just blowing up for me at the moment. I don't know about you guys, but everything seems to be happening there now as well.
And then you spend a lot of time in other communities as well, where you're quite prolific about adding content that people don't necessarily see. I don't know where you find the time. Whenever I open Teams, Tom has got something to say in Teams.
Yeah.
Why are you not as great as we are?
It's getting that way. Yeah, I'm trying to, I used to be quite polished with my content, but these days I'm just picking up the iPhone and doing quick videos or like throwing things into Teams as they come, and that feels more acceptable in 2018. Like, rather than perfect polish, just like get the content out there.
Well, one of the things Microsoft I picked up from, shall we say, and I'm sure we've been privy to a few of those conversations, there's a feeling that they really see the investment in quick and easy content via video.
It's the millennial generation. I want 3 minutes of how to do something. I'm not spending, I mean, the magic number for YouTube is 12 minutes and 43 seconds.
Which is probably what we're on right now. So we're going to, we are actually 12 minutes.
There you go. This is going to be huge because it's hit the right time.
Yeah. So we're going to dog food, take our own advice. We're going to check out now, and we'll catch you guys in a little bit coming up with ducks. Thank you very much for joining us, Tom.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Cheers.
Always good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you guys. Thank you.
European Collaboration Summit. We're in the beautiful, beautiful, I've got to say it again, town or city? I'm not quite sure which one it is, but Mainz. It's the city, right?
How do you pronounce it?
Mainz.
Mainz. It's
Mainz.
Mainz. Mainz. Which is in Germany, which I guess the name should kind of give that away, right?
Nicht spreche Deutsch?
Oh, God, here we go again. Okay, so...
Hallo, guten Tag. Mein Name ist Dux. Ich von einer kleinen Stadt in Amerika, Washington, D.C.
So I think I kind of got a bit of that.
We're using AI translation here.
We are.
Closed
And by the way,
captioning at the
the
bottom.
Microsoft Translate app has been really saving me a lot here. So my name's Andy
We don't
Talbot.
want to know why.
Let's not go there. Andy Talbot presenting with my co-host,
Not Andy Talbot.
Not
I'm
Andy
Alistair
Talbot.
Puget.
and we're joined by a special guest today. Introduce yourself, Dux.
Hey everybody, my name is Dux, and excited to be here in Mainz.
Absolutely. Well, we're really pleased that you could join us. So, Dux, you're here with AppPoint, aren't you?
That's right.
And AppPoint is one of the big sponsors this event here, which of course this event just isn't possible. And to be so cheap as well without the sponsor support.
You guys sponsored SBC, right?
That's right. We were in Vegas last week. Yeah,
Were you there?
I was there.
No
I
jet
did.
lag today? I don't know how you do that.
What jet lag? I just got in 2 hours ago.
So we caught you at the right time.
That's right. That's right. So I figured I'll be walking around and maybe sleep later.
Sure. So, Dux, can you tell us a bit about AppPoint,
Sure.
why they exist and what you're about?
Absolutely. So AppPoint's a software company. We help organizations migrate, manage, and protect their SharePoint and Office 365 investment. And this is such an awesome event. We've been in business for 15 years, and we support a lot of global community events like this. And like you said, awesome energy, a lot of people, and a lot of learnings today, yeah.
So one of the things we've heard from a number of people here, because of the GDPR expert panel, there's been some GDPR workshops going on. You guys, you must get it from clients. You must get it all the time.
Absolutely.
Can AppPoint help me with GDPR?
Sure, absolutely. So certainly we work hand in hand with Microsoft. We have solutions that can support organizations' needs around GDPR. I mean, frankly, there's no one company that can fill every GDPR need.
Sure.
But we can help in 3 areas. One is in the area of risk identification and risk assessment. Second, data classification, data discovery. And third, data protection. Certainly, Microsoft provides a lot of these wonderful solutions, and we support them, we augment them. So if you have scenarios where you have on-prem investments or even non-Microsoft content sources, we can definitely help and support your organization as well.
So just on that, I love your product RevIM, and I know it's been morphed into more than just your classification
Sure.
tooling. Can we talk a little bit about that? Because I think that is sort of the basis when you look at Azure Information Protection.
Yes.
You guys were first to market
Right.
with the tooling, and I still think it's the most mature product out there when it comes to
Yep.
being able to identify, classify, and
Yep.
categorize,
Yep.
and give you that automation.
Right.
With the GDPR, are you seeing a lot of people move into RevIM?
That's a great point, Alistair. So RevIM has been rebranded as Records
Yeah.
because RevIM, I mean, it's a cool name,
Yeah.
but people don't really know. So we have a product called AppPoint Records and AppPoint Cloud Records. Cloud Records is the full SaaS version that we offer in Office 365 that organizations can avail of. So to your point, absolutely, it can support a lot of the record management requirements. And we're seeing a lot of traction in places like Australia.
Yeah.
So recently, our product, Cloud Records, has been VERS compliant. We're one of 2 companies, cloud-based companies, that's compliant in Australia. So to answer your question, in Australia, and we're seeing in Europe as well, there's a lot of traction around that product. And we're starting to see in the U.S. as well because of U.S. federal government requirements.
Right.
Yeah.
So what I also know, because I do quite a bit of work with AppPoint products, and one of the things I get a lot of my clients talk about quite a lot is the value they're finding in backup.
Sure.
So a common question that will come up is, why should I invest in AppPoint backup?
Right. So there's a couple of things a lot of organizations don't realize they don't know. Like when they sign up for Office 365, there's like all these fine lines and people don't read. If you delete your data, and when I say delete your data, be it email, OneDrive, SharePoint, Microsoft's only on the hook 14 to 30 days or 90 days, depending on your agreement with them, that they're going to keep it. So past that, you're on your own.
Sure.
But what if you're bounded by some kind of retention requirements, like Sarbanes-Oxley, right?
Yes.
Financially related data you have to keep for 7 years. Back in the days of on-prem, you just call IT, hey, can you pull the tape back up? But you can't do that in Office 365. So our backup solutions offers you that capability. And the backup we provide is not just limited to a single workload. You know, other organizations provide backup for Exchange or SharePoint, OneDrive. Our backup solution backs up the entire platform, from Exchange Online to SharePoint to Groups and even Project Online. So
okay, I didn't know
absolutely,
about Project Online.
yeah. So we back up Project Online as well, which is a big need in the project management world.
So we've covered, I think your phrase that page is migrate, manage, protect. Yeah. So we've covered the manage and we covered the protect stuff.
Sure.
Your investments in AP Elements, and I know you've released a new version of that called Fly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that, strangely
Yeah.
enough. I know Dimension Data uses it quite extensively in South Africa.
Yeah.
And one of the, looked at a quote the other day and it was talking about AP Elements Fly.
Right.
Which is quite cool. So
Yeah.
just a little bit about AP Elements
Sure.
and where that is going.
Very, very good question. So we have a brand of technology called AppPoint Elements. And in this line, really we support a lot of organizations that have less complex needs around their tools, especially migration. So we have AppPoint Elements Fly, where it's straightforward, easy to use. And the beauty of this technology is certainly it could do a lot of the traditional migration, you know, from file share to SharePoint to Office 365, but it could do cloud to cloud as well. So we could do, you know, Box to Office 365, Dropbox to OneDrive, that kind of stuff. It's easy, straightforward. You know, they can go to apelements.com and find more information about it.
Did you name it Fly?
I wish.
I was like, Fly, that's
Fly.
tough.
No, I wish. No, one of my colleagues named it Fly, so I think it was really cool and very appropriate for the cloud. So.
Absolutely. So one of the things that we talked about is around the governance.
Sure.
So I think a big thing that I talk about twice now is around groups and group
Sure.
sprawl.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't have a hold on that,
Yeah.
you're potentially going into a bit of a dangerous area, right?
Yeah.
And that point, recognize this.
Yeah, so this is one of, frankly, a lot of the major conversations we're having with customers that are full-on Office 365. On one hand, don't get me wrong, groups and teams, amazing.
Absolutely.
But then on the other hand, you know, back in the days, remember we were worrying about SharePoint sites mushrooming and going crazy, Wild Wild West? This is actually much worse. Right? But
I've seen it, yeah.
But here's the deal, right? I mean, in the perfect Contosa world, we want people to follow the rules and govern, but I don't think people are malicious or purposely messing up. It's just too much to remember. So our technology, AppPoint Cloud Governance, can not only govern SharePoint, but also govern groups as well. And when I say govern, it's not just provisioning. It's really provisioning, operational management, and also end of life. So, example.
Yes.
So today, right, let me ask you guys, being MVPs, how many ways can you create Office 365 groups?
I think it's like 16.
Off the top of my head, I don't know.
17. There's 17 endpoints.
Is there a new one crept in since recently?
Well, yeah, maybe. Well, yeah, this morning.
Just this morning, yeah.
So one of the things is, like, the traditional, hey, I'm going to request from IT if I need a group or SharePoint site, doesn't work anymore. Because it's in Outlook, it's in SharePoint, right?
That's right.
So our cloud governance, for example, if it's enabled and the policies are there, so if you create a group from Outlook, automatically, as soon as you create it, hey Andy, I just saw you create a group, but based on our policy, your boss, Alistair, has to approve it in 7 days. So within 7 days, if he doesn't approve it, sorry, we got to get rid of it. So now we're empowering, but also putting that guardrail in place.
Sure.
And Microsoft has just started rolling out updates to the naming conventions of things.
Yep.
We saw it in the Office 365
Sure.
extension last week where a distribution list is not called a list, it's called something else.
Well, no, they changed so it was called groups in Outlook, which
yeah.
causes confusion to groups. So now let's call it distribution list again.
It's an actual list. So how do you, as a technology company, keep up with movements? I mean, we've seen teams, and you're going to start managing teams, or if you're not managing it, you're going to manage it, or you probably already manage it. But how do you, as a technology company, keep up with this 3-week release cycle, 3-year release?
I mean, I got to tell you, it's hard, right? Especially we have a full-on SaaS platform. You know, some people think, oh, it's SaaS. You just take your on-prem, stick it up in IaaS, and serve it up to the customer. It's not that straightforward. How do we keep up? We work closely with Microsoft as best we can, and we see what's coming in the pipe, and then we constantly build upon it. And more importantly, internally, we use it. A lot of our products we built, we've been using the last 6 months. It's not going to be perfect, but we want to make sure that as best we can, we keep up with Microsoft. As soon as they release something, we've got stuff ready to go.
And you're putting a lot of investment into Apple and online services as well at the moment, aren't you?
100%. I mean, cloud is the way moving forward.
Yeah.
You can see it from Microsoft, right? So from our business perspective, it makes sense. But at the same time, apart from keeping the lights on,
yes,
like you said, we got to be on top of what Microsoft's offering, because it's not every 3 years anymore.
Yeah.
No, you're not just a software company either, are you? You also provide services to help the clients.
Yeah, so I mean, we're primarily a software company, but certainly the services we provide really is around making sure the customers maximize our technology. Mm-hmm. We work with a lot of services partners around the world, where if a customer will have need around, let's say, SharePoint intranet portal design and whatnot, we would work with partners hand in hand. But yeah, we provide services around migration, for example.
Yeah.
We work with a lot of customers. They buy our migration product. They said, you know what? We don't really do migration on a regular basis. Can you guys do it for us? So the services we provide is in line with all the product offerings we have.
I really like when we talk about migration, compliant migration.
Yeah.
That's a big headline for AppPoint, isn't it?
100%. I mean, certainly, we have products that help migrate. Our special sauce for migration is we do compliant migration. And we look at massive data sets. So, for example, in the U.S., we're working with this large government agency. They're going to go hybrid. They have 5 petabytes of data.
Wow.
And it's not just documents. Ooh. So those are the kinds of engagement we get into where, it's not just lift and shift anymore. We go in there, we scrub, we clean, we get rid of junk, and more importantly, we identify PII, which is very important, right?
Absolutely.
And then we classify, we tag it, and then we move it, all using our technologies ourselves. So it's not like we put 100 bodies and do migration. I mean, we bring our own tools that the customer doesn't have to buy, and then we do it for them.
And of course, with your SaaS-based solutions, they live in Azure. So if you invest in Office 365 and you consume an AOS, you're not leaving the Microsoft Cloud there, are you?
We're not, and in fact, with our SaaS service sitting in Azure, we're a Microsoft customer ourselves. But if the customer decides, look, we want to take advantage of your technology, but we want to keep the data in our own Azure tenant or our other storage, customers would have choices to do that.
Fantastic.
Are you going to move to non-Microsoft platforms?
From what perspective?
So if I wanted to do a SharePoint to a content server migration.
That's a great question, or SharePoint to Google Cloud, right?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Because we've got customers going, we're going Google, and we usually tell them all.
Right now, I mean, we're deeply focused in the Microsoft ecosystem. There's a lot of business to be had.
Sure.
So I don't know. I mean, if the day comes, there's no business in the Microsoft ecosystem, which I doubt. But yeah, today we're committed 100% in the Microsoft platform.
That's great. So, Dux, you're quite a familiar face in the community. Can you tell us about AppPoint and the ethos with the community and the kind of content you're putting out there to help?
Sure, 100%. So apart from participating in events like this worldwide, we recognize that a lot of customers and people, frankly, out there have need around just information. And like you said, there's so much technology coming out. Like, how do I use this stuff for best practices? So we're committed to produce a lot of these content. So if you guys haven't seen, check out our website, apppoint.com. We have tons of ebooks like when to use what, groups, teams, SharePoint.
I like the playbooks.
Or the playbook around migration.
Yeah.
Or we have a backup playbook. And sneak peek in a month, we're finalizing it. We're coming out with the Office 365 Groups Cookbook.
Oh, I like the sound of
It's a full-on recipe showing you the 17 ways on how to create Office.
Does it have pictures of you in an apron?
We're working on that.
Come on, you have to do that, man.
Each recipe, we have a guest chef. So, I mean, I'm going to reach out to both of you.
What we like, can we get a pre-published review?
Seen published in an apron. I think that's all.
No one wants to see that.
But we're committed to do that. We'll continue to do that because we take our learnings and we document all of it and then publish it out.
And of course, you've got a number of MVPs working for F1 as well. That
Yeah.
always helps, doesn't it? The closeness to the
Yeah,
product.
we, I'm very fortunate to be working with, MVP colleagues around the world, and I have another colleague who's the regional director, John Peluso.
Yes.
So it's great, and the feedback we get from customers. At the end of the day, a lot of the products we build are just feedback from customers.
So, in closing comments here, folks, how do people get to, first of all, connect to you personally,
Sure.
all the content of that, secondly, for AquaPoint?
So first, the easiest way to connect with me is jump on Twitter at MeetDux. So hit me up there. In fact, I tell people if you want me to respond as fast as I can, hit me up on Twitter. Email, it'll take forever for me to respond.
Sure.
Second, if you want to check out all of our resources, just go to apppoint.com, and once you go there, there's a button that says resources. You'll find playbooks, ebooks, blogs, on-demand videos of past webinars, and a lot of it is really around Office 365 and SharePoint.
Talking about that, you've got a new series coming up soon, haven't you? The Better Together series in the webinars.
100%. So we've been producing hand in hand with Microsoft, like a lot of Better Together. So we did Yammer and Teams Better Together with Naomi Moneypenny.
Yes.
And then I did one with First Line Workforce with Zahid from Microsoft.
Right.
So we're going to have another one with Teams and Education coming up as well.
Teams and education.
Yeah, that's a cool topic.
The ex-learner companion with the classroom notebook that they brought
Yes.
through. Very exciting.
Well known. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Well, we come to the end of our time here. So thank you very much, Dux, for joining us.
thank you, Andy.
It's
Thank
been
you,
an absolute
Alistair.
pleasure.
Yeah, all good, mate.
And we'll
All right.
see you guys soon.
Cheers. Ciao.